Since Congress has had almost 50 years to codify the rights initiated by the court with Roe, doesn't the legislative branch own most of the blame for not taking the responsibility required to protect women's reproductive health care? Congress could have done something in 1974 and said, okay, Roe says this, let's let it happen, let's make it a federal law, and then we'd be done with it. Sam, does Congress own some responsibility here?
Absolutely, certainly. And as does the judicial branch for not upholding settled law. This was settled law and it's not being upheld. But at its heart, this is not an abortion issue, it's a privacy issue.
Mm-hmm.
This is a privacy issue. In the state of Alaska, something I'm proud of, which I know will be attacked sooner or later, it's the Privacy Act in the state of Alaska that upholds our abortion rights. It's not even an abortion law, it's a privacy law. And abortion is somewhere like it counts number 7 or 10 somewhere in the rankings underneath the Privacy Act. Nobody needs to go on, know what goes on in any woman's uterus. When you allow law to enter into a woman's literal womb, you're committing a sort of biological tyranny here.
Okay, Dan, what do you think about that?
The legislative branch, it is 100% their fault. But they're working within the system as designed, and they are getting the result they want. We don't have to touch this. We know we can be performative about this issue, and at the end of the day, Roe will stop this from happening. So we don't have to worry about it. We can yell and we can scream and we can make a lot of noise and we can raise a lot of money. And I think I'm not trying to find a silver lining to the handmaidification of America that is on its way. I am not trying to do that. But I do think once Roe is overturned and all of these states start making laws that prohibit abortion in all but the most extreme cases, and probably not even then because women aren't people anymore, so why should we worry about them? The Republican fundraising apparatus is going to start to run into difficulty. I think that by design, the people on the left in Congress did not want to face the juggernaut of the evangelical Christians trying to scream them out of office. And the people on the right wanted to scream very loudly about it, but did not actually want to do anything because the issue lined their coffers. And now they've got the court that is going to get rid of it, unless there's some originalist argument that Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Gorsuch all buy into, because Thomas is not. Thomas has already written Thomas has already written the destruction of it before he's heard arguments. He might have to change a few words, but that's already to go. Roberts and Alito are right there with him. They're all ready to sign it. Coney Barrett has probably helped them write it to give a woman's perspective to that issue. But I'm really, really sure that this was a deliberate choice on everyone's part. And that's why it's happened. You don't want to expose the ideological cracks on either side, because I do believe that Collins and Murkowski, if they were just using those two as an example as Republicans, if they were presented with a bill to outlaw abortion, they would vote against it. I also believe that a Democratic senator like Casey, if presented with that bill, might have voted for it. Like Bob Casey's dad is the Casey versus Planned Parenthood. So
yeah, right.
it would not surprise me if that happened, and that would expose ideological divides in both parties, and neither one of the leaderships want to deal with that. I remember Bernie Sanders made a comment about Democrats need to accept more anti-choice members and run more anti-choice members. And what the context of this was, he was trying to explain how we could win races in rural areas. His ideology here clashed with mine. I think that we should have a legislative statute, and he thinks he's okay with that kind of sacrifice. There are other members of the party who won't be. That's going to split us more, which might bring us down to maybe the tents are too big on both sides. I think that Congress has deliberately avoided the issue as much as they possibly can, unless it is to the benefit of an individual congressman. And now they have taken it to the place where they've milked the cow. There's nothing left, and it's going to be destroyed. And they knew exactly what they were doing by appointing these conservative judicial justices.
So they want to scream about it, but they don't want to vote about it.
Correct. Gun control will get a lot louder after Roe is gone, even if there is nothing that the Democrats are putting forth to enact it, because you'll need a new issue.
Yeah, I hate to be a wet blanket here, and I agree with all these extraneous reasons people might have for not having done anything. I agree with that. Paul, you said when you asked the question something about if Congress had passed a law protecting women's rights, it would be done. I don't agree that it would be done because people would be filing lawsuits to declare the federal statute unconstitutional, and we would be right back where we are. Except that the one argument about legislating from the bench and judge-made law would be eliminated, so that eliminates one of the usual arguments against something like Roe. But I'm not sure that this would be over.
No, it wouldn't be. Because you don't stop subjugating people, do you?
No, you find another way. Yeah.
Yeah, you just find other avenues of subjugating.
Well, when I was listening to the oral arguments, Kavanaugh was basically saying that since there isn't anything in the Constitution that addresses abortion, just like the word marriage is nowhere in the Constitution either, that the states ought to be able to have the right to do that. Now, if there was a federal law, he would basically, following that argument, saying the feds have a right to pass whatever law they want to. But he would change the argument. I know they move the goalposts all the time. So you're right, Judy. You're absolutely right about that.